So it's June 2025. What's going on in the housing market? Besides all the geopolitical stuff and interest rates kind of almost at 7%, things are still moving. We are still seeing some inventory come on, not as much as a lot of places throughout the country. So Danielle Hale, chief economist, Realtor.com, said the number of homes for sale is rising in many markets, giving shoppers more choices than they've had in years. Sellers are becoming more flexible in pricing, underscored by the price reductions we're seeing. And while higher mortgage rates are certainly weighing on demand, the silver lining is that the market is starting to rebalance. This could create opportunities for buyers who are prepared. So we weren't seeing that really up until the last week or two. And we're going to see if this is, just a seasonal thing, or is this a trend now, what we're seeing. Most other places in the country had seen this already for the last 6 to 12 months. We're not seeing it yet. Overall in the U.S., inventory topped 1 million for the first time since winter of 2019. Definitely a pent-up demand of people looking to sell. We are seeing some of the foreclosures up a little bit more. So it's something to watch. We have to kind of monitor, see what's going on. I don't think there's any collapse coming, but we may see some leveling out like we did in 2022, which honestly wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for the markets. Where housing inventory is growing the fastest. So right now we are seeing that, the West is actually growing the most, followed by the South. They're at 33 and 40%. The Northeast is actually the least. It's 19% of inventory growing. So that kind of makes sense. We are seeing a slower pace of growth, probably half of what the biggest one is. Probably in our area, if I had to take a guess, we're probably about 10% growth versus 40%. We'll have some specific stats for you as well. The existing home sales are down. Seasonally adjusted annual rate of existing home sales since 2021. We're seeing this a little bit over 4 million, which this is interesting. So we're seeing a little bit more inventory come on. Home sales definitely down from 2021, which to be expected. But over the last couple of years, I'd say we're down a little bit seasonally adjusted. And I do think this is going to shoot up when they take into account some of the spring market going in there. But are we going to be as high as we were finishing out last year at about 4.4 million, 4.5 million? It'll be interesting to see. So let's see what goes on over the next couple months. Logan, from lead analyst over at Housing Wire, said the increase in inventory is also promising and supports long-term stability in the housing market. As wages rise and households are formed, such a thorough marriage and bringing in dual incomes, this influx of inventory returning to normal levels provides an optimistic outlook. I agree with that 150%. You've heard me say on here plenty of times that, the market's kind of going nuts and it needs to balance itself out. We're going to see if this does balance itself out. And you know what? If you bought today and prices do drip 5 or 10%, as long as you're not selling it, they will come right back. You can't time the housing market, can't time the stock market. I think the main thing is get into a property that you can afford. And you know what? If the economy does go down or rates go down, you'll be refinancing and it will cost you less to live in that home or where you're at today. So we're telling buyers out there, same thing. If this is a little bit of a slowdown that is finally hitting us here, so be it. Just make sure you buy right. You'll be fine. I don't think prices dropping dramatically if you're selling. And if now's the time to sell, then we look at what the market's doing and what's right for your specific market and your home and your block, and we'll figure it out. 8 in 10 potential home sellers think that they will get their asking price or more. And I agree with that. I think that a lot of times, especially if it's priced properly, you will get that. It's the ones that are overpriced, that they start too high from the beginning, that see that, more of a, price reductions coming out there. 4 in 10 sellers sold for less than their asking price. That's 40%, and that's new. Like I said, as we're seeing this, we're going to see that, and that could be $1,000, could be $50,000. We're seeing less of getting those highest and best. We're now down sold above asking price about 27%, which is still pretty good that we're seeing that in the market as of the end of last month. 1/3 of sellers had to reduce their asking price. You're seeing this. Some of the trend is coming up that they're not getting the crazy numbers. They're lowering the price, which makes sense to balance out more in the market. And once they lower it, they're getting a buyer. It's not like 2008. We have to keep lowering until you get a buyer in there. Redfin had said sellers are pricing high based on comps from the past rather than current demand. Today, list price growth is accelerating, while sale price growth is decelerating. Back in 2022, both were accelerating. So this is super important. When we look at pricing a property, we look at what the active competition is, what the pending is, what went to contract, and what sold in the last 6 months. Solds are a lagging indicator. So it is important that we do look at that, but we want to see what's our active competition. If something sold 500,000, but everything on the market now is 475. You know what, that market value is probably 475, especially if they're not moving. If there's no actives, what went pending? Did it go highest and best? How long ago did it go highest and best? Was it the last week or was it 2-3 months ago? So all those things are important, and this is where working with somebody who understands how to price a property in today's market, as it is ever changing, is super, super important. So any questions, feel free to reach out. Definitely, I'm here to help, and look forward to seeing you and catching up.